Have you ever wondered why human beings can take the purest, most innocent moments and shatter them with the ugliness of hate? That is exactly what happened in this story, where a group of black children were simply living their childhood, laughing, running, and enjoying the small joys of life, until a woman approached them with venom in her words, calling them terrorists. Imagine the shock on their faces, children who had no idea why someone would see them not as kids, but as a threat. This is where psychology becomes so important. You see, the human brain often projects its fears, insecurities, and unresolved emotions onto others. This woman wasn't attacking children because they had done something wrong. She was attacking them because she needed someone weaker to carry the weight of her own internal chaos. And that's where the danger lies. When adults, who should protect innocence, become the very people who destroy it. Now, I want you to think about how men often obsess over women in a similar way. Many times, women are not seen for who they truly are. Their intelligence, their soul, their individuality. Instead, some men project their own desires, their fears, or even their anger onto women. Just as those children were unfairly labeled, women are often unfairly labeled too emotional, too strong, too independent, or not enough. And each label chips away at the purity of how you deserve to be seen. When that racist woman screamed at those children, she wasn't just insulting them, she was trying to rewrite their identity in that moment. And isn't that exactly what happens to women every day? Society, toxic men, even family at times. They try to rewrite your identity to make you believe you are less than you really are. But here is the truth. Just like those children were still innocent despite the ugly words, you are still powerful, still valuable, no matter what label someone tries to place on you. You must understand that people attack where they feel threatened. That woman saw children whose only crime was existing with skin she despised. Some men see women whose only crime is existing with strength they cannot control. And that is why their obsession turns into control, into manipulation, into attempts to silence your laughter, your freedom, your joy. But here's the lesson you must take. Do not allow anyone to dictate your worth. When someone labels you, recognize that the label belongs to them, not to you. Those kids are not terrorists. And you are not weak, you are not too much, you are not unworthy. Their words reveal more about who they are than who you are. So what should you do? The same thing we must do for those children. Protect your innocence, protect your joy, protect your soul. Refuse to let hate, jealousy, or obsession define you. Build boundaries where necessary, stand tall in your truth, and remind yourself daily that your worth is not up for negotiation. And if you take nothing else from this story, take this. When the world tries to shrink you with names, rise higher. Because the greatest rebellion against hate, against obsession, against control, is to keep shining, to keep laughing, and to keep living as if their poison never touched you. That is your victory, and that is your power. Why is it that hate often feels more powerful than love, even though love is what every human heart is searching for? Think about that for a moment. When a woman lashed out at innocent black children, calling them terrorists, she was not attacking their actions. She was attacking their very existence. Those children were playing, smiling, being free, yet her anger turned their joy into a target. That is the power of hate. It twists beauty into something it cannot stand, because it feels threatened by purity. Now reflect on how often women experience this same distortion. How many times have you simply been yourself, confident, joyful, radiant, only to notice that someone, often a man, becomes uncomfortable with it? Just like that woman could not tolerate the purity of those children, there are men who cannot tolerate the strength and wholeness of a woman who doesn't need their approval. Their obsession isn't born from love. It's born from fear of losing control. When someone hates you or obsesses over you, what they are truly saying is, I cannot handle your freedom, so I must find a way to reduce it. That's why the racist woman reduced children to the ugliest word she could think of terrorists. And that's why men sometimes reduce women to labels like difficult, too much, or unlovable. It isn't the truth. It's a weapon. Psychology teaches us something very important. Projection. People project what is inside them onto others. That woman carried hate, so she projected it onto children who had done nothing wrong. And when men obsess over women, when they try to control or shame you, they are not revealing your truth. They are revealing their insecurities, their fears, their inability to see beyond themselves. Here's the hard part, though. If you hear these lies enough, you may start to question yourself. The children who were insulted could have felt fear, confusion, even guilt for something they never did. And women, when targeted with obsessive control, can begin to wonder, am I the problem? Am I too much? Am I unworthy? But the truth is, you are never defined by someone else's projection. Their obsession is their cage. Their words are their reflection, and none of it is yours to carry. So what should you do when you face this? You must protect your inner space the same way you'd protect those children. Refuse to absorb poison that was never meant for you. Recognize obsession for what it is, not passion, not love, but fear disguised as attention. Build boundaries, like armor. Not because you are weak, but because your freedom, your joy, your purity are worth protecting. You are not here to shrink, so someone else can feel bigger. You are not here to be silenced, so someone else can feel powerful. You are not here to carry labels that were never meant for you. Just like those children deserve to keep playing, keep laughing, and keep being free, you deserve to live without being chained by anyone's obsession. And here is the most powerful truth to hold on to. When someone cannot handle your light, it is not your job to dim it. It is their job to face their own shadows. Keep shining anyway. Because your freedom, your laughter, and your truth are the most powerful answers to hate, obsession, and control. Why do people lie to protect themselves, even when the truth is so clear? It's because the human mind, when confronted with guilt, often twists reality in a desperate attempt to escape responsibility. In this story, the racist woman didn't just attack children with cruel words. When the police arrived, she pleaded, she twisted, she begged the officer to believe her false version of events. She wanted the system to see her as the victim, even though she was the aggressor. That tells us something powerful. People who fear being exposed often weaponize authority, and they do it with tears, with excuses, with manipulation. Now let's reflect on how this connects to the lives of women. How many times have men, when caught in the wrong, suddenly shifted the story to make you the problem? How many times has the blame been placed on you, even when you were the one hurt? Just like the woman in this story tried to convince the cop that she was innocent, men who obsess over women often twist reality to avoid accountability. They play the victim, even while they are the ones causing harm. This behavior is called gaslighting, and it is one of the most damaging psychological weapons. The racist woman gaslighted reality itself, trying to make authority believe that innocent children were the threat. And in relationships, gaslighting works the same way, making you question your memory, your perception, your truth. They want you to doubt yourself so they can remain in control. But here's where you need to stand firm. When someone rewrites the story to favor themselves, it doesn't change the truth. Those kids were never terrorists, no matter how convincingly she cried. And you are not wrong, not crazy, not too much just because someone else insists you are. Lies can be loud, manipulations can sound convincing, but truth never dies. It's important to understand why some men obsess over women this way. Obsession is not love. It is fear dressed as possession. They fear losing control, so they spin narratives that make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They fear your strength, so they label it disrespect. They fear your independence, so they call it rejection. But every one of those twists is nothing more than them pleading with the cop in their own minds, begging authority to side with their story instead of reality. And what should you do when faced with this? You must become your own authority. You must stand so deeply in your truth that no amount of pleading, crying, or twisting can make you question who you are. Just like the police officer has the choice to see through manipulation, you too have the choice to see through lies. Your clarity is your shield. Your refusal to bend to false stories is your power. Never forget that manipulation works only if you allow it to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. If you protect your truth like sacred ground, no one can invade it. When someone obsesses over you and then rewrites the story to make themselves the victim, recognize the pattern and step back. Don't argue with lies. Stand firm in truth. And here is the most powerful thing to remember. When someone twists reality, their story may echo for a moment, but your truth will echo for a lifetime. Do not hand over your voice to anyone who cannot face their own reflection. Protect it, live it, and let it shine brighter than every lie spoken against you. Why do words hurt more than anything physical at times? Why can a single insult stay in our memory longer than 100 compliments? The answer is simple but profound, because words touch the mind and the mind never forgets. In this story, when the racist woman called those innocent black children terrorists, she didn't just say a word. She planted a wound. And here's the painful truth. The scars of being mislabeled often cut deeper than any bruise on the skin. Now think about your own life as a woman. How many times have men labeled you unfairly? How many times have you been called names that didn't reflect your reality but reflected their fears, their insecurities, their inability to handle your truth? Just as those children were left confused, asking silently, "Why am I being called this? What did I do?" Many women live with that same silent pain, wondering why their worth is constantly questioned by men who obsess over them. Psychology tells us that identity is one of the most fragile yet powerful parts of the human mind. When someone attacks your identity, they are not just insulting you, they are trying to rewrite who you believe you are. That racist woman knew the sting her words could carry. She wanted those children to see themselves differently, to shrink, to feel fear. And that is exactly what men do when they obsess over women. They attack your identity, not because it is weak, but because it is powerful. They call you too independent when you refuse to depend on them. They call you cold when you set healthy boundaries. They call you crazy when you refuse to tolerate disrespect. And just like those children, you may find yourself questioning, is it me? Am I really what they say I am? But here is the truth you must hold on to. Their words are not mirrors. They are weapons. And weapons only work if you let them pierce your soul. The silent pain those children felt is the same silent pain women carry when they are constantly mislabeled. The difference is, you have the awareness now to break free. You have the power to stop absorbing those labels and start rejecting them. Every time someone tries to call you less than what you are, remember, it is their weakness speaking, not your truth. So what should you do? You must separate your identity from their perception. You must remember that the names they call you are not who you are, but who they are trying to make you believe you are. And once you see that clearly, their words lose their power. You no longer carry them like scars. You see them as noise that doesn't deserve to enter your mind. The children in the story did not deserve to be called terrorists, and you do not deserve to be called anything that steals your power. The way you protect yourself is by anchoring your identity so deeply in truth that no label can stick. You remind yourself daily, I am not what they call me, I am what I choose to be. And here is the most powerful reminder, silence their words not with anger, not with fear, but with the unshakable confidence that you know who you are. Because when you stand rooted in your truth, no insult, no label, no obsession can ever define you. Why does silence sometimes feel easier than speaking the truth? Because the human brain is wired to avoid conflict, even when conflict is necessary for healing. In the story of the racist woman who attacked innocent black children and called them terrorists, the greatest danger wasn't just her words, it was the possibility that no one would speak up. Hatred grows when silence becomes the response. And that is where the lesson lives for all of us, especially for women who face obsession, control, and unfair treatment. Think about this carefully. How many times have you stayed quiet, even when a man's behavior was unacceptable? How many times did you ignore the warning signs of obsession, of manipulation, of being unfairly labeled because silence felt safer? Just like those children needed someone to speak up for them, women need to speak up for themselves, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. When that woman pleaded with the cop, twisting the story to protect herself, imagine what would have happened if everyone stayed quiet. The truth of those children would have been erased. This is what happens in relationships and in society when women do not use their voices. The twisted story becomes the dominant story, and in that silence, lies grow stronger. Psychology teaches us that voice is power. To name your truth out loud, even in the face of resistance, reclaims your identity. Men who obsess over women fear this power most. That is why they silence you, why they label you, why they try to make you believe your truth doesn't matter. They know that once you speak, their control begins to crumble. So what should you do? You must decide that your silence will no longer feed someone else's obsession. You must decide that your truth deserves air, even if it shakes, even if it scares others. Because when you speak, you are not only protecting yourself, you are protecting every woman who has ever been silenced and every child who has ever been mislabeled. Think of the children in that story. Their innocence was attacked, but imagine how powerful it becomes when people rise and say, "No, this is wrong. These kids are not what you call them." In the same way, every time you say, "No, I am not what you say I am," you break the cycle of manipulation and obsession. You teach others to see truth. You teach yourself to live in strength. And here is the final truth you must remember. Speaking up is not about changing the one who obsesses over you, because some people will never change. It is about protecting your heart, your spirit, and your freedom. It is about refusing to let lies define you. It is about creating a life where your voice, not someone else's label, becomes the guiding story. So do not stay silent. Do not shrink. Do not let obsession write your narrative. Rise and use your voice, because the world does not change with silence. It changes with courage. And your courage, your voice, your truth can become the light that burns through every shadow of hate and obsession.